lot of materials work. We do work on air vehicles, the large airplanes with hydraulic systems and antennas and all sorts of different things. We've got a lot of different, just a lot of different opportunities. We're just one of a lot of companies out there. And you're probably reading the same things I am, where even though unemployment rate is very high, we still have businesses that they have a lot of vacancies because they can't find people with the right skills, right? And that's what we all do, right? 10 years from now, when your students are out there, they'll have the skills they need, right? Hopefully. All right. So,
what is your mix when it comes to engineers? Between mechanical, electrical, and whatever else you have?
I'd say probably 50-50. And then we have physicists and mathematicians. Those are the main technical disciplines that we have. I don't think we have any mechanical engineers. I'm sorry, chemical engineers. We have some software engineers. Yes, ma'am.
Out of all your engineers, how many are women? Percentage,
That's an excellent question. So Emily Fox comes to mind. She's in my sector. We divided out in the San Diego office. I'm not sure. Down in our Patuxent River office, probably 3 or 4. But percentage-wise, I'm sorry to say, it's small.
Is it 10%? Is it 5%?
Probably between 10 and 20. 10 or 20%. Yeah, I find it out. So, and I don't think it's because we don't, we discriminate. I think that there aren't as many candidates out there. But we can fix that too, right?
Right.
Okay. Any other questions?
How high does this fly and how fast? And
Fair questions. This one, the smaller one, will probably be limited to 15,000 feet. The other one, maybe about 19,000 feet. Airspeed, I think stall speed is probably about 40 knots, and top speed, dash speed is maybe 85 knots. So I mean, it's a pretty fat wing and a pretty small power plant, and a lot of drag. It wasn't really designed for speed. It's designed for just long endurance. That's why it's got the fat, long wings to.
How long can it fly?
Yeah.
At a time?
The type, I don't know as much about this one, but I know the Tiger Shark has got a good 10 hours endurance, and we're putting it, testing another motor that's got, we think, better fuel specs.
What's the range from the control stations?
And that's controlled by the data link, command and control data link.
Yes.
And so they say 80 miles, but I think that there's some concern about getting beyond about 60, because if you lose the link, the autopilot is pre-programmed to return to a pre-planned. It heads back towards base, and nobody can reestablish contact. But
Nice.
I don't know if anybody remember. I don't know, about a year and a half ago, the Navy had an unmanned helicopter that launched out of a Southern Maryland activity, and they lost control with it and started flying towards Washington. And they scrambled just, they were going to shoot it down. And finally, last minute, got control.
They did.
You
Well, there's, I forget who. One person made a recent announcement that he can actually scramble drones with. He can make it appear from the GPS. He made the GPS confusing, so that it would say it's going up and it's really going down, and it would say it's this far away, but it's really like 2 inches away from colliding into something. I mean, how do you get your position?
Well, good call. It's got so it's got line of sight with the command and control, but otherwise it just has a GPS reference, so it does not have inertial navigation. So
is it worrying a lot of the unmanned vehicle people? Because I mean, all they gotta do is scramble the signal, and you don't know where you're at.
Yeah, that's a very real concern. A while ago, a requirement was put out that at least military platforms have to conform to, and it's called SASM, Selective Anti-Spoofing and something or other. But it has to do with, each platform provider has to harden their system against GPS jamming. And it's extremely difficult to do because the GPS signal is extremely weak. And it's pretty easy. It's coming from a satellite, so if someone's on the ground transmitting on the same frequency, can supersede that. So, yeah, it's a concern. Where we're flying now is, to the line, we own the airspace in Afghanistan, so there's not much of a threat there. How much do you all know about flying unmanned vehicles in the national airspace here for law enforcement or agriculture or anything? Well,
I'm waving to Phil.
No.
Sorry.
Well, this is something you might want to, you'll probably start reading about it now, you'll start hearing about it, but there's a fairly large controversy brewing because the FAA now has been mandated by Congress to integrate unmanned vehicles into the national airspace where we fly, unmanned airplanes fly, and have it, ready to go by 2015. There's not much time. And there are two concerns. The one you're hearing the most about is privacy. People think that Big Brother is going to be looking in your windows all the time. I'm not as concerned about that, but if you think about it, when an airplane takes off, you have a pilot who wants to get back, and you have a co-pilot, and you have a lot of systems and a lot of research and development and history has gone into making this. This airplane, you have to have an airplane that isn't going to crash. You have to have a ground control station and a robust data link that's not going to crash and that's not going to get spoofed. You have to have some sort of sense and avoid capability because a pilot in an airplane will see and avoid another airplane before it'll run into it. If you don't see it from the little lipstick camera there, so those technologies have to get developed, and this business is in its infancy. So, those are the things. I'm much more concerned about that than privacy issues. But now that we've talked about it here, I bet you'll start to see news reports about unmanned vehicles here. Still Sacramento?
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay.
Phil's a Widener graduate student for the school here, so I thought it would be appropriate for him to come and talk to the high school teachers, and Phil's intimately involved with this from an engineering, design, and health introduction standpoint. As a graduate of Widener University, he can fill you in on some of the details. So, Mr. Phil Savitz.
I apologize, I had no idea did you go through all the slides? I missed the whole presentation.
We're in the Q&A, so I'll over you, Phil.
Okay.
That's right before lunch, Phil. So
Any questions before lunch?
So one of the questions I had was that they were showing the launch system that there were some of the newer what are the pressure and force it takes to throw one of these things up in the air?
I do not. There's different platforms.
I have
We've called it from the catapult launch, make those specifics.
I was just going to give Kelly a quick call and ask her.
Okay. Yeah, I apologize. I haven't been involved in the catapult launch, but that is an area. I mean, you guys probably talked about the fact that our UAVs, for the most part, have to be runway, take off and land, but the different theaters of operation today require catapult launch, single point launch, single point recovery. So from a technology point of view, that's a big area of interest and thrust by the DoD. But pressure, I apologize, I don't know the specifics.
Is any of it just off the shelf as far as electronics?
That's a good point. Like the aircraft we're looking at here, the one we currently produce, the bigger cousin of this one, to keep the costs down. A lot of the components are COTS, commercial on the shelf. So a lot of the components, a lot of them, the servos that are on here, the autopilot that started in the RC community. So the big remote control aircraft that you see people flying at various parks. A lot of those components end up in UAVs and other commercial items that end up in here as well. Motors, what have you. So the whole idea is to keep it easy to build, low expense, to do city by cots.
Can I ask, actually, sir, what kind of technical skills, could you talk a little bit more about what kind of technical skills you'd like to see your students graduating with?
Well, mechanical and electrical engineering are sort of in software, at least a strong nodding acquaintance with software, probably, because a lot of our mechanical and electrical engineers actually wind up doing programming controllers. But I guess hands-on is what makes a difference, a real difference to me, because someone that somewhere had a project that they had to build something, and the things that are learned in a project, building something, working through the engineering problems and making it work, are things that you just cannot pick up in the classroom. So I guess that's kind of what I
Yeah, I would add to that. The team that we have that currently build these, maintain, troubleshoot, deploy, it's a 50-50 split between degree engineers and non-degree technicians. So a lot of the non-degree technicians, to Carl's point, very hands-on. Most of them were active duty military at one time, so they graduated high school, weren't sure what career path they chose in the military. While in the military, they took a technical route. So they got the AMP certification in the military. They have a lot of hands-on experience. So I think a big key to our success is the combined workforce of hands-on people in the field, prior military, trained by the military, and degree engineers combined working on the best solution, all hands-on. So from a, I guess, a high school teacher point of view or educator point of view, I think for this career you can steer people in either direction. Military, AMP, non-military, AMP, the key being hands-on or degree engineer. And there's a lot of programs that are starting up across the country, specific programs just for UAVs.
What's AMP?
I'm sorry.
aircraft and power plant.
Yes.
So it's a license to work on aircraft.
Yeah, so pretty much if you're going to work on commercial aircraft, for United Airlines, for American Airlines, for the military, it's a specific certification that gives you the FAA approved for wings.
Your question about what skills we'd like to see, they kind of caught me off guard. I'm trying to think. But I guess I was talking with Rudy earlier about